Okay, we're now live on YouTube as well.
Yeah, I just got to disable. So. Okay, we're good to go.
Okay, I'd like to make a motion to call the meeting of the Connecticut Board of Education. I need a motion.
Motion.
Second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
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 Aye. Marisol, would you like to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Sure. I pledge allegiance
To the
to the
flag
flag
of
of
the
the
United
United States of America
America,
and to the republic
for which it stands,
one nation,
under God,
indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Will the district clerk please call the roll?
We have Mrs. Kennedy,
Present.
Mrs. Augulus, Mrs. Augulus,
present,
Mrs. Mallon,
Present.
Mr. Murphy,
Present.
Mrs. Napolitano-Ferno,
Present.
Dr. Adams,
Present.
Mr. Kohler-Hefar,
Present.
Mr. Hauser,
Present.
Mrs. Poppy,
Present.
Mr. Allen. We also have Mrs. Incerillo, the district clerk pro tem, and myself, Ms. Kemp, the district clerk.
Sorry,
Okay, thank
Jesse,
you.
present.
Thanks, John.
Okay. The new order of business is school lunch. I know that there was a discussion that the board wanted to have about cafeteria tables.
Okay, Marisol, would you like to start the discussion?
I would not like to start it. Thank you.
Okay. The Board of Ed talked about moving tables back to the way they were. I had asked for a legal opinion. I would like the superintendent to discuss the legal opinion publicly. And then anyone else having any questions can ask her, and then we can vote.
Lee, I
Linda,
would
can you
like to
do-
speak. I would like to speak at some point since I'm the one who pushed for this meeting.
Okay, after Linda discusses it, everyone has a chance to ask Linda any questions, or then we can call for a vote. Okay, Linda, would you like to discuss the letter, please?
Sure.
And then your statement, your opinion, your
Okay.
recommendation, I'm sorry.
Okay, no problem. So there were a few questions that were asked of the legal counsel about whether or not we were able to go back to the typical lunchroom tables. We're aware that there are some districts who have been in lunchroom tables since the beginning. Part of that was because they didn't have enough desks potentially to cover the amount of kids that they had in lunchrooms. We are in lunch tables in our elementary buildings, but not in our secondary buildings where we had originally put small tables as far apart as possible, 3 foot or more, hopefully to get to that 6 foot where the kids were intended to be 6 foot apart when their masks were off. And so the question is, can we go back to cafeteria tables? So the first question the attorneys wrote about was whether it is within the Board of Education's jurisdiction or the superintendent's purview to implement seating configurations in light of COVID-19 pandemic. And the short answer is the superintendent is responsible for implementing infection prevention and procedures and thus has the authority to implement and direct for the configuration of space within the district to facilitate physical distancing standards. The second question was whether there is a social distancing required for individuals while eating. The answer the attorneys provided was yes, as per the New York State Department of Health guidelines, individuals are required to be spaced 6 foot apart while eating and drinking. Yet the DOH advised that schools should implement physical distancing to the extent possible within their structures. The third question was whether lunchroom tabling configuration can be returned to its pre-pandemic arrangement so long as everyone wears a mask. That question is a little bit interesting because when you're eating, your mask is definitely off. But the answer to that question, if they're masked, yes, if the pre-pandemic lunchroom table configuration allows for individuals to be 3 foot apart while eating. So in our reopening plan, because we know that some of our cafeterias, we may not have been able, even with the individual desks, to be the full 6 foot apart, we applied for students to be seated at least 3 foot away from each other while eating. In certain buildings where there's not enough space to permit 3 foot of physical separation, some classes will eat in their classrooms, but will be rotated into the cafeteria on a weekly schedule. So that was in our original reopening plan. We did plan and have enforced as much as possible, keeping kids 6 foot away or as far away as possible while their masks are off. That was to prevent kids needing to be quarantined if they were in contact with someone while they were eating, and potentially mitigate the spread within the building. So we did have the minimum of 3 foot, but we pushed for as far as possible away. And in most places where our kids are at 6 foot, which is the DOH guideline for eating, and anytime that masks are off. So that's where we're sitting right now. So I'm sorry, I don't know what the second question is.
The second question would be, what is your recommendation based on the guidelines that were set forth? And second part, would we get in any sort of legal issues with the state if we go against the guidelines?
So they approved our plan, which is 3 foot away. Would I suggest going to tables at this point? I probably wouldn't. I don't know how many kids we would be able to fit with that 3 foot spacing in our tables. We would have to do some measurement of that. I mean, the kids have been sitting at the smaller tables, facing each other, having socialization. And I know that there are some kids who like being at the individual tables, and there are some kids who actually scooch their tables over closer to other kids. Are they always 3 foot away? I would say they're at least 3 foot away with the smaller tables. Honestly, at this moment, with the rates going down, I don't know that I would change it, but I just don't.
Well, what would your recommendation
Enough
be?
seats. I just don't know if we have enough
Lee,
seats for
can you
that.
let us?
Wait. I'm asking Linda a question.
Mhm.
The recommendation would be, and when does the recess start?
Friday is the last day before recess.
And then they come back when?
They come back the 28th of February.
And when is this mandate over?
Well, there's been no movement that we've seen about changing social distancing rules. The mask mandate itself is set to expire on February 21st, but this is not about masking. This is really about social distancing when masks are off.
Okay, so really, you can't do anything to the holiday anyway, right?
Well,
Lee,
if
I'm asking
We
a
have
question.
questions too.
I'm
We
asking a
have
question. I'm asking Linda a question.
if the board wanted to move away from the seating configuration right now, I would suggest that we wait and allow our custodians. It's a large job to take the desks away, clean them and stack them and put them away appropriately, and then recenter. We would also put 3 foot dots. And then we would have to count to make sure that we have enough folks space in each cafeteria with those 3 foot dots. We may have to leave some individual tables in there if that's what, the board wanted to move toward. But then, when we looked at the one thing that I did not speak about in the legal guidance was that in order for the board to, we would have to suspend our pandemic planning policy, board regulation 8131. Actually, it's a regulation. So it's really my, it's really my purview. The board doesn't approve regulations, so if the board wanted to do something different, we would have to suspend that regulation right now, which is an administrative regulation anyway.
So we can't suspend that. It's your decision. Am I right?
I
Linda,
just,
I thought at the end
I
of
just-
the guidance from the attorney that if we suspend policy 2430,
Yep.
then we could, then the board could vote to do this.
the attorney just wrote me that, that just wrote me that as well. That's why I actually just sent it privately to another board member, and I could send it to all of you. That's what I was trying to tell Lee, but
It's on the bottom of that email he just sent. It's the last sentence, I think, of the email he sent to us.
I think the board policy of 2430, if you give me a minute, I will pull that. I think that's the original adoption and suspension of policies. So I don't think you're actually suspending that policy. I think you're using that policy's language to suspend the pandemic planning regulation.
That's what Greg said. That's what
Yeah,
Greg said.
so basically, let me get you that so that I can do that as well.
And then I'd like to call for a motion or resolution for a motion to have us direct the superintendent to bring the tables back to normal. What I had said, and the reason that I wanted this meeting was because the next logical step, after reviewing all of the current variables and what other districts are doing, we're not shattering ceilings. Other districts as large as us and larger have gone back to lunch tables. And after 2 years of following every guideline to put lunch tables back to their original format with lunch tables and bring back some normalcy while still allowing others the freedom to choose, which is what I had said to Linda, and I had spoken to some of the other administrators about having a classroom set up with desks for those who no more comfortable eating lunch at desks for social distancing and so on, so that we could still be fair in giving choice. But the reality is the day that the kids were unmasked, that day, many children sat across from each other in less than a 3-foot environment, and there was not an issue. So again, to say that, and so if people feel uncomfortable, we have a classroom set up then. But for those who want to sit at tables, so we don't have children's mental health being an issue and sitting alone, I am advocating for this. And I'm also asking for board support for a resolution to put a resolution out in a motion for us to direct the superintendent, to direct the staff, to put this back, even if it happens after I understand it's not going to happen overnight. So if it takes the recess, but it will then, the kids will come back that Monday with it done.
Jackie, can I
Thank you.
speak?
Thank you.
Mrs.
Now,
Kennedy,
go ahead,
I-
Linda. Linda?
Okay, so policy 2430, as I thought, is the suspension of policies. So suspension of policies is policies and regulations shall be subject to suspension for a specified purpose and limited time by a majority vote of all members of the board at a meeting in the call for which the proposed suspension has been described in writing, or upon a 2/3 vote of all members of the board when no such written notice has been given. So you would need 2/3 to vote to suspend pandemic planning 8131. And then you can actually direct to do that work. I am going to slow down just a second. Obviously, I would like to give our custodians some time to work on it over break, which, Mrs. Napolitano-Ferno just stated. I don't know that we have a classroom anywhere close to the cafeteria in 3 of our buildings that we would be able to take over for all periods of the day. And we may have to leave some individual desks set up in each cafeteria to give the kids the opportunity to not sit at the tables. Because I can't at this moment say that, we have 5 periods of lunch at the high school. I don't think there's going to be an empty classroom for each one of those periods close enough for us to clean the tables and do a good job sanitizing after the kids leave. So it may be that there's going to be individual tables left in the cafeteria itself for kids who feel uncomfortable sitting at the group tables.
I just want to make sure that no child who wants to sit at a table with friends or even just wants to make new friends and sit with people doesn't have the opportunity to do that. So as
Okay,
long
thank you,
as
Jackie.
we're making sure the opportunity is there in every building, equal opportunity across district, okay, I'm fine with that. But I don't want to see a kid sitting by themselves because we just, and they don't want to sit by themselves. They want to sit at a table and we're not allowing it.
Right. I got you.
Okay.
I'm also fine with leaving some desks for those children that choose to not be ready to sit at tables. But I also want to stress and emphasize that parents speak to their children once the change goes into effect, so that they're kind to each other and no one judges another child based on the decision to either sit at the table or sit at the desks, because everybody gets to have their choice, judgment free.
Agree
Thank you,
with
Marisol. Thank you,
100%.
Marisol.
I
Does
agree,
anyone else have
Marisol.
anyone else have any comments regarding that?
I have a comment. I agree with what you're saying, Marisol. I just worry about the kids that to feel isolated. Basically, what you were saying, it's a very difficult decision. I worry about each and every child. I don't want any child to feel like I have to sit here, I have to sit there. I like that freedom of making that choice. And again, I just emphasize what you were saying, Marisol. I don't want any child to feel, for whatever decision they're making, that they are not criticized for making that decision. There should be a choice and respected.
I know, the only problem I see there, when I was in the schools, I didn't notice kids being segregated, that they're sitting by themselves. I thought they were all working, I thought they were mingling with each other, even the way that Marisol, you actually suggested how they were set up. What I think is happening is that we as a board are creating that type of atmosphere that kids are going to be uncomfortable. I think that this is going to be over in a matter of weeks to begin with. And we're the ones that are putting kids in a precarious situation. And that's how I feel. If it's 1 week or 2 weeks, I don't really understand the difference. It sounds a little political to me. This is almost over. We'll all be free of this, every board member and everyone in the community, and we'll move on. But I think what we're doing personally, my personal feeling, which is just to not put kids in a bad position.
Lee, I don't think this is politics. I think that the problem is you look at things and think everything is politics, in my opinion. And the reality is we've had parents that come to the podium. We've had parents that speak up at meetings. We have parents that write emails. And yes, I read every email. I don't know if you do, but I do. And if so,
Thank you,
we have
Jackie,
to
and no need
advocate
to
for
criticize us
all
back and forth.
children. We have to advocate for all children, not just the ones that want to be masked and be separated, but also the ones who want to be the opposite. We have to do for all. That's why I said let's have a classroom.
Thank you, Jackie. I thought I was speaking for all children. I wasn't speaking for one segment or the other. Okay, let's Brian, do you have any questions or statements? Are you ready to vote? Brian? Brian?
Yeah, yes, I'm
Do
here.
you have any questions or statements?
I don't.
Or you don't?
Nope.
Okay, so let's just take a vote. How
So,
many
so
people?
I'm just going to caution, you need to have language that says why and how long the policy is going to be suspended. So where I just want to make sure that's part of your, that's part of the suspension policy, that you need to give a time frame. So if you want to suspend the pandemic planning 8131, which is actually a policy and not a regulation. So it is on you folks to suspend it for the period of time until June 30. That way, anything that comes in between and changes, we can amend those changes without having to come back here. Does that make sense?
Yes, who writes that regulation? Who's going to write that?
So the resolution will say that the Board of Education hereby votes to suspend policy 8131, pandemic planning, for due to the decrease in public infection rate until June 30, 2022. Make sense?
Are you suspending the whole policy then? That means masking and everything?
Well, there are still that we would have to do here anyway, because we do have to encourage instruction, provide a description of what, I mean, there are still things that we're still going to continue to do this work, just that it's softer.
Yeah, okay, we'll take a vote, but I can't vote on something. I don't really know what I'm voting on because there's no real true resolution written and I don't want to not follow the guidelines because I don't
Okay,
want to
let's
be.
just vote because a lot of people have work.
All right, Jackie.
Can I just make one edit to the resolution that Dr. Adams stated, and that's just to
Sure.
include the Board of Ed hereby votes to suspend policy 8131 pandemic planning due to a decrease in public infection rate of COVID-19. That wasn't originally included, and I just think it'd be good to include COVID-19.
I agree, Jesse. Thank you.
Okay, so take a vote.
I'm a
Let's just
yes. I'm a
We
yes
need
to the desks and to the, try to make the classroom work.
Yeah,
I'm
yes or no?
sorry, just real
yes.
quick. We
Oh,
need a
yeah.
motion and a second to suspend the policies.
Right,
before
motion
the
is a second, right?
Motion and a second to suspend the policy.
Second,
Motion.
Aye.
Okay, now individual votes, please.
Individual votes on, so the Board of Education resolves to direct the superintendent to replace the lunch tables as per pre-pandemic, and implement a more traditional lunch room.
The vote to suspend the policy has not taken place yet. Just a motion and a second.
Okay, motion second, and then vote on suspending the policy. You need it all in favor, Lee.
Oh, okay, motion. I thought we did that. Motion.
motion,
Yes,
need all in favor.
trustee Augulus motioned, trustee Napolitano Furno
I thought
second
I
to
thought so.
suspend policy 8131. We need a vote, please.
All in favor?
Aye.
aye,
Aye.
Aye.
No. Motion passed.
Motion passes.
No.
Okay. So that's just that, now the policy is suspended. So now I need you folks to require or direct the superintendent to put the cafeteria's table back and create a more normalized lunch situation in the school buildings.
There is
Okay, I need a
a
motion.
resolution already listed in board docs. I will read it. It says, be it resolved that the Board of Education hereby directs the superintendent of schools to return all school cafeterias to their former, in parentheses, pre-COVID, setup using large group cafeteria tables.
Okay, I need a motion.
Motion.
Second,
second,
all in favor?
Aye.
Individual?
aye,
No. No,
Okay,
motion
and
so
then-
carried.
And then consent agenda item number 2 is the emergency contract for food service management. This is in order for us to provide breakfasts at all of our school buildings, which would be free for all of our children.
Motion.
Okay, I make a motion. Second,
Second.
aye,
second,
All in
all in
favor?
favor?
aye.
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 Motion so carried. Okay, I make a motion to close
Be
the
right there.
meeting.
No, at this moment, I would like
Okay,
to make a
okay, no,
2-minute,
no, make. wait,
I
whoa,
would like
whoa,
to make
whoa,
a
whoa.
2-minute statement
Okay,
and I would
okay,
like board
all right.
support. Can I do
Stop.
that?
Stop, I'm talking. I didn't recognize you yet. We received a letter as a board. And I'm addressing it as the board because we didn't want to close the
Lee,
meeting.
we've gotten many emails and you're choosing to only get the one that's targeted at me. So I believe that they asked for my
Stop.
personal
Please
response.
stop,
And so I would
Please
like
stop.
to give my personal
please
response
stop.
because it's
I
lawful
was
to do
closing
so.
the meeting, Jackie. You chose not to
Lee,
close the
ask
meeting.
the other board members what they would like. Okay,
No.
I would like a 2-minute.
I'm gonna read a statement
No, you're not
because
gonna
you
read a
want to
statement for
continue
me.
this.
You are not.
Then you
gonna
can
read a
respond.
statement For me. I'm gonna read
I'm
a
reading,
statement for
I'm
me.
not, excuse me, Jackie, I'm not
Okay?
reading it for you.
No, you're not
The
reading
board
a statement
received
for
a
the board.
letter.
We
about
did not
comments.
give you authority. I did not give you authority to
I didn't
speak
give
for
you
me.
authority.
I did
I
not give
called
you,
for the close.
I'm not speaking for you. I'm
I'm not
speaking for
speaking for
me.
you.
Somebody questions me as a
I'm not
mother.
speaking for
People
you.
are questioning me as a private citizen. I have every right to address it. Call
As a
the
private
attorney.
citizen, not as a
Call
board
the
member.
attorney.
You
I
can't
am.
use the
I-
day for your
This
political
is not,
agenda.
I am answering because it came to us as
Stop.
a board member.
After
I am first
You
and
have time to
foremost
answer
a
after I
mother.
respond. because
Before
you want to
anything
respond
else,
to this.
and I am
You have
also
time.
a
Jackie,
police
stop.
officer and a Board of Ed
Jackie, stop.
trustee.
Jackie,
In
stop.
all of these roles,
Jackie, stop.
I make every attempt to
Jackie,
follow the
stop.
laws as they have been passed by the
Stop.
legislature.
We'll have a turn.
As a
You will
citizen of
have a
this
turn
great
to
country
speak
and
when I
state, I have the same
Stop.
rights as
Jackie,
all of you
stop.
to
Just
peacefully
stop.
protest a
Just
rule
stop.
I don't
Just
agree with.
stop. I should
Yes,
have done this
I
years ago.
attended
Years
an
ago.
unmasked
Stop.
rally as a
Stop.
private citizen
Stop.
and a mother
Stop.
with my children
Stop.
and
Stop.
not in the
Stop.
capacity of a Board of
Stop.
Ed trustee.
Go,
Stop.
stop.
Because
Stop.
my children asked to
Stop.
attend to stand
Stop.
up and speak up for themselves.
Jackie, stop.
My children
Please follow the rules
My
of the Board of
children
Education.
are
We have a
entitled
rule.
under the Fifth Amendment
You
of the
have a turn to
Constitution.
speak.
I did not
You will
break
have a
any
turn to
rules,
speak.
any laws,
Stop.
or advise anyone to break any laws
Stop.
or rules.
Stop. Stop.
Lee, let me
Are you
read.
done?
I
Are you
no,
done?
I'm
No,
almost
you're
done.
not speaking.
I did not break
I am
any
running the
rules
meeting,
or
and I've
advise anyone
spent
to
6
break
months
any laws or
bullied,
rules of our
getting bullied.
district. To try
Stop.
and equate a peaceful
Stop.
rally outdoors when
Stop.
masks are not required to resist
Stop.
arrest is
You'll have a
absolutely
turn to
inappropriate
speak. Stop.
and meant
You'll
solely
have a
to
turn to speak.
instigate a
Have
negative
a turn to
discussion
speak.
about an
Stop.
important topic.
Stop.
There's a
Stop.
difference between criminals
Stop.
breaking established
You'll
laws
have a turn to
that were
speak.
passed by our
Stop.
legislators
Not
and
that you can't
unconstitutional
continue
mandates
doing
that
the
have been
behavior of the
shown to
board
be
meeting.
harmful to
Stop.
our children. Plus,
You'll have a turn
peaceful
to speak.
protest is at
Please
the heart of our
stop.
Constitution
You
as
will
a
have
way
a
to
turn to
redress
speak, Jackie. Stop.
grievances with our governor.
Stop.
Many parents
Stop.
and
You
students
will have
are
a turn
very
to speak,
concerned
Jackie. Please
about
stop.
safety and psychological effects of
You have
wearing
a
a
turn
mask
to
all day
speak.
in
Please
school.
stop.
And those kids need a voice also. Personal choice. Advocating for freedom of choice and breaking rules are two completely different things.
Stop.
All students deserve a voice, not
Stop.
just those that wish to mask,
Stop.
but those who wish to unmask.
Stop.
It's about
I
the
cannot
safety
third
and
grade. Just
concern
stop.
for the well-being of all students.
You'll have a
There
turn
will
to
be
speak.
people like
Stop.
Lee
This
Kennedy
is what you've been
who
doing for the
agree
past
or
6 months,
disagree
to
with me,
disrupt the
and
board
that's
meeting.
okay. But
Stop,
that's
and not
my
letting you
personal
to get
opinion.
away with this
I will
anymore.
post it on social media so
Stop.
you can read it
Stop.
because our board
Stop.
president is on a power
Stop.
trip today and
Stop.
refuses to allow board
No.
trustees to speak. She
You're
also
making a fool
refuses
out of
to give
yourself, Jackie.
transparency, redact,
You're making a
unredact your
fool out of
emails,
yourself.
Lee, like I have unredacted
You're
mine.
making a
Unredact,
fool
give
out of
this
yourself.
community
Stop.
and the parents full
This
transparency.
is not
Show them
the
what you
proper
write
way to
about
run a
them.
meeting.
Do that. They have every
I
right to
can
know.
make a motion. They're not going to end it. I make a motion to end the meeting. Motion. Oh,
Lee, I'm not motioning. You are so rude. You didn't want
I'm
to
not
allow
rude.
me a statement.
Stop.
I'm going to say
Stop.
this statement at the
Stop.
next meeting, and I'm going to post it on social media. You only
Stop.
address emails if they
Stop.
target a certain board member,
Stop.
but you
Stop.
don't address the ones that are
Stop.
crying for help. Why
Stop.
is that? Address all emails
Stop.
equally.
You,
Address all
all you
emails
do, all
equally.
you do, Jackie, is you're campaigning and I'm board member.
Lee, this is
time.
not
So stop it.
campaigning. This is pathetic. It's not campaigning. Okay,
Hold on,
I have
Lee,
a right to my
Lee.
constitutionality, and I have a right
Lee.
to my constitutional
Stop.
Fifth Amendment. My
Stop.
children have a right to their
Stop.
Fifth Amendment constitutional rights. How dare
Stop.
you say anything about police officers? How dare you say anything about my children? It's
Never
disgusting,
said
Lee.
anything about
It's
police, but you're
disgusting.
not. You're lying.
You
That's
are
a great
against
lie.
law
So stop
enforcement.
it.
You are against
Brian,
kids,
I'd like to close
and
this
it's
meeting
disgusting.
right now.
You
Marisol, I'd
directly
like to close the
targeted
meeting right
this
now.
email
This has
last
to
night.
stop.
Everyone on
This
this
behavior
meeting
has
knows
to stop.
you
And
targeted
I
that
let her
email.
just go on and on.
People
You're
have a right to
condoning
write
this.
emails
Do you
about all of
understand?
us. But when you only target one or two
Right.
emails because it addresses one board member you don't like, it's a disgrace. You are a disgrace as a board member, as a board president, and
Okay,
you should
okay.
step down.
Thank you.
The parents
Thank you,
that
Brian.
vote,
Thank you,
they
Marisol.
are right.
We all need a board retreat because you don't understand what your people are
No,
doing right now.
no, what we need, Jackie, I have no problem with you reading what you read and you should be able to read it. But also, we had called this meeting last week and we said it was going to be 10, 15 minutes for one action item. It's gotten out of hand in terms of other things. Please definitely do it at the next meeting. Do it on Facebook. Respond to whatever you need to. Respond to the parent. But right now,
Can you see
you know,
this?
out of respect for everybody else, we have to get to work too. We allotted 10 minutes for this. 15
Brian,
minutes.
I'm sorry,
I'd like
I
to make a
respect what
motion
you're
to
saying,
adjourn.
but you
It's
also
everyone.
know that
I'd like
what
to
Lee's
make a
doing
motion
today
to
is
adjourn.
disgusting. You know what I'm saying is the truth. If we're
Anyone
really
want
going
to
to give
second the motion?
transparency to this district,
Brian,
we
you just said you want to leave.
and if you want,
Second.
he's the one who brought the email up. Let's all remember that. I
Jackie,
didn't
I
write an
understand.
email.
I'm
in.
not the one.
I'm not discounting that whatsoever. I'm not discounting how you feel. I'm not discounting your reaction to the email. 100%. I'm just stating at this point in time, right now, it's time to move on, and you can respond at the next meeting or whatever
And I
you
will.
need to do.
Brian, I will.
All right.
What I'm saying to you is, I got the
Jackie-
email last night, not from the parents. We got the email from Lee
I'll make
Kennedy
a motion.
before
Who
getting
wants
it
to
from
second
parents.
the motion?
We got it from her,
Who wants
saying
to
that
second
she
the
was gonna
motion?
respond. She does not speak for me.
Who wants
Lee
to second
Kennedy
the
does
motion?
not speak for
Who
me.
wants to
I
second the
speak for
motion?
the children.
All right.
She does
Jackie, I
not
get it.
speak for me.
Who wants to
Jackie, I
second the
get it, but
motion?
you're still going, Jackie. Let's just end this now, and then you and Lee can battle this out at another time. Tonight, right now is not the time.
Brian,
Okay.
you guys can
Okay,
motion and leave the
I'm
meeting.
making a motion
You
to
guys
adjourn.
have the
Who
right to
wants
do
to
that. I'm
second the
not going.
motion? Brian.
Okay, I motion. I have to go to work.
Okay, all in favor, say motion. Say
said
I
motion.
second the motion. All in favor, aye.
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 Motion so carried. Good, have a good evening, and I'm sorry you guys are late for work, and I have to go back to rest. Thank you very much.
Have a good day, guys.